On the phone with us is Kevin Murphy, formerly of Mystery Science Theater 3000, author of A Year at the Movies, and currently with the online Riff Tracks. He's been kind enough to sit down and answer a few questions with us. All right, well, thanks for giving us time, a little bit of time tonight.
Sure.
All right. One of the questions I had, I was just curious, because you pretty much just came on the scene with Mystery Science Theater 3000. What were you doing before MST3K, and how did you get involved with them?
It was complete. The whole thing was sort of a complete accident. I was working with my friend Jim Mallon at a UHF station in Minneapolis, KTMA, Channel 23, the lowest rated station in the city. We were doing our own original comedy because we had, he was the production manager, I was the cameraman. We had the tools, and we were both really interested in doing funny stuff. So we started exploring the local comic scene, because at that time Minneapolis had a great comedy scene. Guys like Jeff Cesario and Louis Anderson and Jerry Seinfeld will come through routinely, and Joel, of course, was sort of a local hero. And Jim and Joel ran into each other, and Jim proposed, hey, if you got some fun ideas for a show, come see us. And he came to see us with this drawing of a fellow and these two odd robots sitting in a row of movie seats, watching a movie and heckling it. And that was really the germ of the whole idea. And from there, it sprouted into what became Mystery Science Theater. And obviously, we touched a nerve.
Yeah, obviously. So Joel actually really pretty much had the whole idea of what he wanted to do before he really even began, huh?
Well, kind of. He had the germ of the idea, and it's I think I attribute a lot of what came out of that to Trace and to Josh and to the other people who helped it along, and made it into a whole show. And,
right.
It's sort of, there were a lot of different disparate elements that came together, and part of it was, when we were kids, our entertainment on a weekend was watching a hosted movie. You'd have some local DJ who would put himself in vampire makeup, and
right.
And this is how Vampira started.
Right.
And I know they're still around, but they're few and far between these days.
Sure.
But that was another one of the things that I think was part of the spirit of the whole thing.
So were you doing the writing in the first, I guess, year as far as on screen? It was Trace, Joel, and Josh, correct?
Right.
Were you doing some of the writing and behind the scenes for the first year, or?
We were very short-staffed, so we had, I think, between Jim and I and a fellow named Vince Rodriguez, we were the entire production staff. So I built sets, I ran the camera, I shared the editing duties, and did just about everything production-wise that needed to be done in order to make the show go.
Gotcha. Then I guess when it got a little bigger, and when Josh decided to leave, that's when you took the step in front.
Yep, I just said, hey, I can wrangle a puppet, and they said, you're on.
They found someone else to paint the walls.
They found somebody else to build the sets and run the cameras and do the editing. And I didn't look back. I was perfectly happy not to do that stuff anymore.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, you did it so long. I mean, you spent over 10 years watching these things and looking for all the mistakes and things to make fun of. Did you find yourself when you went to the real movies, quote unquote real movies, did you find yourself looking at them and having a hard time not looking for, where's the joke?
Well, I found myself less tolerant of bad movies and actually more patient with good movies. I found myself cheering on the movies that were really trying and having no patience for the movies that were not. And it actually motivated me to write the book I wrote.
Which is a Year at the Movies.
Right, yeah. And it was because I went back to I really didn't go to the movies much when we were making Mystery Science Theater because I was just too damn exhausted at the end of the day.
I can imagine.
So after 10 years of that, and I started going back to the movie theater, things had significantly changed. Multiplexes had really become sort of the Walmarts of the movie exhibition industry, and taken over most of the mom and pop movie theaters, and there was no good way to see a good film anymore, and that really sort of pissed me off. So I decided to go out there and sort of survey the movie-going experience from the audience's point of view.
Right.
And tried to look for alternatives, and my whole thing since then has been to harangue against the big old system that goes on, and try to offer people alternatives to the usual fare.
Which kind of rolls right into something else I wanted to ask you, because I've been reading A Year at the Movies, which is fantastic, by the way. A friend of mine had it laying here the other day, and a friend of mine came over. 3 separate times he picked it up and just turned to a random page, and he thought it was awesome. He was just picking up in the middle of the book.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and he thought it was really great. But it's something I wanted to ask you. You've gone to all the different films. You've gone to the different festivals that you were talking about. You've gone to Cannes and Sundance and some of the smaller festivals and some literally underground.
Yeah.
What do you think with the fact that someone can, for just a few $1,000s now, make a movie? Has that helped, hindered, or a little bit of both as far as in the art of filmmaking, as far as making movies?
Well, I think it's a combination of the two. Yeah, we're going to have to go through a lot of crap. I mean, all you have to do is go through YouTube to figure out how many millions of bad filmmakers there are out there. Even some with some very good equipment
Right.
are really bad filmmakers. And the digital world and the internet have allowed the possibility for having millions of really crappy filmmakers out there. But at the same time, it's also allowing, I think the same sort of transformation is going on in the filmmaking world as has gone on in the music world.
Mm-hmm.
Things have to change, and artists are going to come out of, not out of record labels, but out of their own studios,
Right.
out of their own hearts. And I think that possibility holds true for filmmaking. I hope so.
You can tell the difference between someone who makes a movie because they want to make a movie and someone who makes a movie because they want to make a buck.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone hopes when they're making a movie, whatever their reason is, they want to make something from it.
Yeah.
But at the core, you can always tell when someone's trying, just putting their heart and soul in it.
I think that's true, and even if they fail, that comes through, and I always
Mhm.
cheer around those folks.
So what about you? Have you ever thought about doing your own, as far as getting involved in making your own film?
I've been through the studio process, and I wouldn't go back there. I just know what to expect from that, and it's not anything that I'd put myself through again. I just don't think it's healthy. And I'm such a snob, and I'm such an arrogant bastard that I'm not willing to compromise when it comes to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think I could hack that world. I don't know. Right now I'm actually working with a fellow to develop. I had a series that I've been trying to pitch, and the first thing I thought is that I should start this by making it a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm developing a comic book with a fellow I've met, and we'll see where that goes.
Is there any details you can give?
There are not. Not until I actually have the story and the characters delivered and we get some pen and ink, and then maybe we'll be talking about it.
Okay. I had to ask.
But it's I'm doing it with the intention that the comic book is at least these days, and it's sort of a cynical attitude. The comic book is one of the best ways of delivering a treatment to the West Coast right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are stupid out there, and they can't read a story very much anymore and understand that it's actually going to be translated into a film. So if you show them pictures,
yeah,
it helps a lot. I mean, Mystery Science Theater never would have. Think of throwing that at a producer of Comedy Central right now and saying, well, there are these robots. Okay, they're made out of found objects from the St. Vincent de Paul. And they sit with a guy who sort of looks like Bruce Dern from Silent Running, and they sit in the theater and they watch shitty old films and make fun of them. I think we would have heard the old, well, yeah, that's another really interesting idea. You guys
we'll call.
Great work. We're going to call you, we'll let you know, and then that would have been the end of it.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for giving us some time. There was a ton more I wanted to touch on. I wanted to ask more about Mystery Science Theater. I definitely wanted to hit more onto the current riff tracks, but hopefully we'll get a chance to talk with you again.
Take care.
All right, bye. That was Kevin Murphy, and this is Jonja.net.